Hello everyone and welcome to Sharded and Argent Cast. I am very sad to announce that I have an admission to make. It is time for me to give up on my dream of making Eitan Sola work. So that's what I want to talk about today is air blows and fire is hot. All right, guys, so welcome back. So outline for today is pretty straightforward. What I want to talk about is one, why I've decided that it's time to walk away from my love of all of this game so far, which has been Eitan and Sola, and why it's time to move towards fire and Sola. Basically, what this really boils down to is Eitan doesn't work in the current game, right? The cost curve just straight up isn't there. And also, so many of the decks, so much of the meta right now is using Argent cards, gray cards, which don't work with Eitan. There's not really an there. It's just that's just the end, right? Eitan doesn't work. His cost curve doesn't work if you're not putting in stronger and stronger and stronger air cards, green cards, right? And you can't really get there in the world where we're moving so fast today because most of the good air cards, right? Let's throw these guys on the side, right? You look at Ariana, right? I was super excited about Ariana. She's a 3-drop, 1500 with Brawler. There's plenty of those out there, but she's there for air. It's great. You have to kill her to move her into a 4, and then you have to kill the 4 to move into a 5. But it always feels like when you're doing this, like you're maybe 1 to 2 turns behind. And it's just not quite working. And all of this, because you have to aim into an air unit, so you can kill an Argent unit into an air, but not in reverse. So the problem with this is you only have 5 cards in your hand to begin. It just doesn't work, right? You want to go to the blockade ship and try to pull that off, but that's turn 4 before you get a legitimate blocker in, and that blocker can still only kill one thing. Do you know what else is out there by turn 4? 4 frickin' bloom tokens on the other side of the board, and there's just nothing you can do about it. And they're not going to attack with their darn bloom anyway, or their repro bloom anyway, so you can't really pull any stuff off. Garga, I always thought, Gary, I always thought was an amazing finisher at 5, 5, 6, right? He could bounce people. But how often are we getting to a point where you haven't already lost the game by turn 3 or 4 these days, right? Also, old Eitan, right? Eitan, Righteous Outlaw, he's great. But again, with the number of gray cards that we have to play, I can't find a time these days anymore where I'm bouncing 2 green units. Like it was hard enough before when that was your win condition was to make that happen. Now you can't even make that happen because things are moving too fast, right? So again, I don't want to make this a crud on air episode. Well, actually, it kind of is a crud on air episode, right? But it's just not working right now. The cost curve right now in the game, the speed of the game is just too low, and it does not work with Eitan. So it's time to move on, right? I even want to just point out just real quick, right? Eitan Protector of Argos, no one's going to argue that card is amazing, right? Having Guardian, forcing the people in front of him, right? The position mechanics of air is what drug me there in the first place, but position is completely irrelevant when your opponent has a board full of frickin' bloom tokens, right? It just doesn't matter. Eitan also, he's 5. Right? Most of these games these days are going 5 or 6 rounds as it is. If your win condition or your start to win condition is 5, you're toast. There were plenty of games in the previous expansion that I won with Konos getting him out. Good luck getting to 7 these days. And just to reinforce my point, right, to bring it home, I want to bring up Great Hawk of Cloudseed, right? This was well known to be one of the, he's no Sylphia, right? But this was well known to be one of the better cards that people were splashing in their green, right? So they were doing Ergon, Kite, whatever, and Great Hawk was definitely in there. I don't see Great Hawk of Cloudseed very much anymore either. People are using Gift, they're using other stuff. They are not splashing Great Hawk, right? Great Hawk used to be fantastic, and now nobody cares, right? It is not Air's time. Air just does not have the support it needs. Right, so again, I just want to flash up here, right? What we're looking at, these guys right here are 4 of the more common Argent tokens that we're seeing, right? We're seeing the Scavenger for obvious reasons. We're seeing the Mutation 0 drop, which is amazing. Mutation Repro Broom. And we're seeing the Shard Beast. But again, that little highlight I have on Eitan, 1 air unit. You cannot drop any Argent units using him. Now, you can kill one, and yes, you can use him to potentially trigger Repro Broom, right? And actually, now that I'm looking at that, once per turn, pay 1, sacrificing, no, it's actually not target unit. So I actually don't think Eitan even triggers Repro Broom. And someone can argue with me either way, but it doesn't change my overall point that just the cost curve of Eitan doesn't work. Eitan is 1 turn too far behind where he needs to be at any given time, and it's just not working. All right, so enough of the bitch fest. So where am I going from here? My new love is Raine and Sola, right? Which gives me access to the amazing, amazing Blazewalkers package. Well, half of the Blazewalker package, that is. But it still lets me, keep my true love, which is Yuki, right? Yuki is amazing. That's why I'm playing Sola for the splash. Sola herself, I still think, is the best spirit because she lets you ready your people to protect them from the target attack. Or not from target attack, but from normal attack. I'm really loving this. And the main reason, the one I'm addicted to the most from Raine, is the Arc combo, right? So let's just walk through this, right? So entreat the Blazewalkers. Expel 1 Blazewalker unit from your deck. Then you may add a card from your same name to your deck or to your hand from your deck, right? Use this on Arc, right? So you expel Arc. When he gets expelled, you do 1,000 to a unit. Another Arc then goes to your hand, and you have Raine, which means you can now expel Arc to deal 500, and when Arc is expelled, he deals 1,000, right? So for 1 and 1 card, so all you need to do is get Entreat, you can deal 2,500 now in 3 separate packages, which sometimes is even better when you have Repro Broom on the board, right? So in theory, you can, if they get a Repro out, you have an Entreat, nail the Repro. Yes, it's a target. He poops out 2 tokens, but you can at least kill 1 of them. That's not bad for 1 cost. It's actually beyond not bad. It's actually really good for 1 cost, right? So I'm a huge fan of this combo. Furthermore, you have Blaze Striker Dive on top of that, which is X, put into play 1 Blazewalker unit you own from your hand or that is expelled with cost X, and if you do, deal damage equal to its power to any unit in a zone in front of it. Note, nowhere in this card does it say target. That's a very, very, very important thing for everyone's number 1 sinister enemy, which is Repro Broom, right? So just to be clear, Arc is a 2. So Blaze Striker Dive, for 2, you drop Arc in front of it, you deal 1,500, right? And if you can somehow combine that with having entreated, maybe entreated the turn before, or whatever, we're starting to look at a serious amount of damage output just from 1 or 2 cards just in your hand. This is a really enabling combo. This is not a game-winning combo. You can't deal anything to tower. It's not winning you any games, but it is absolutely a defense mechanic that can get you a leg up on what you need. Okay, so then we go into what I'm excited about in terms of the Blazewalker package. Again, we have Blaze Striker Dive, we have Arc. I like Leah. I like 3 Leahs. We're running Raine, of course, just because he's just a massive beat stick. I do have to be honest, I'm not entirely in love with Raine's expel ability in most of the decks these days, because unless you're running like a pure red aggro dragon Blazewalker deck, I don't think he's really going to get you as much as you'd think. I also don't like that you have to expel 2 units from his hand just to do it normally and to get him to pop back, because remember the way he reads, if you expel him with Raine, like Champion Raine, he doesn't pop back. You actually have to do the 2 unit thing to get him to pop back. So I don't know where you're getting those cards from. So Raine, I actually think is a little weaker, but he's just this big beat stick. And I mean, 5 for 3,000 is pretty good, right? So I think you run the guy, that at least I'm planning to run the guy. The other cards that may or may not go into the deck, so the reason I'm not giving a full deck list is this is definitely still in development. I'm thinking it over. But Ruka, we all got our hands on a Ruka. Well, maybe not we all, but I certainly got a hand on one of Ruka last weekend. I think most of us did across the country. If you hadn't already been to the championship, Ruka is really good. Obviously, she's best when you're running her with Corona. Like, there's no secret there. But I think she's still okay just in any deck with red characters. I mean, she's 2 for 1,000 that comes out with a plus 500 counter and Brawler on her. All the Brawlers we've seen so far are 3 for 1,500. She's 2, and if you have another red unit, she becomes a 2 for 1,500 with Brawler. that's pretty good. On top of that, we have GZ. The GZ Yuki combo is pretty well explanatory. That's why we're also running Shard Bleach, right? You start blowing up your own stuff to get your Yukis in hand, drop them. It's just a ramp advantage. No secrets there. Again, I'm running the gray package I already showed. The mutation, just dropping it for 0 is pretty good. I mean, at the very least, is 0 for 500 for poking. Poking, at least in our local meta, is a huge advantage to try to avoid that damn fire tower, right? So you don't even really care about the air package in this or the air tower in this, because you're running a pretty cheap package. It's not the end of the world. As far as what I'm looking at right now from the light 8 affinity you have to run, I'm looking at Black Rose Knight, 3 for 1500 brawler, right? This is just a Repro meta. You need something that can take that guy out without target. I like Hikari, I like Brant, and I like Yuki, of course. Like I said, I just can't quit Yuki. Also, Kara the Lone Valkyrie, I've seen some other decks out there that use her. She's a fantastic finisher just because of how cheap she can become late game, and since you're kind of destroying yourself or self-mutilating yourself, whatever you want to call it, she becomes pretty strong as well. So I think she's definitely a good call. So that's really what I'm looking at right now. Like I said, I haven't gotten an official deck sleeved up. I'm still kind of chasing down some of the cards. I wouldn't mind getting my hand on some more Rukas, but I'm sure I can join the club on that one. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you have any advice for my Raine Sola deck? Maybe I'm looking at the Blaze Markers the wrong way. Just let me know. But please like, subscribe. Let your friends know that we're out here. Again, like I said, we're super hyper-focused on building the community this quarter. So let's get those clicks up. Let's get those views up. And let's get the community built. So if nothing else, go Commando.